Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of City Hall Live. I am Joe ABEYTA, and today our guest is the City Project Manager, Juan Bleak. How you doing today, Juan?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You're a City Project Manager. You're not the
I'm
city.
not the City Project.
No. You're a City Project Manager, and I know you're part of the team that's overseeing the city's transition into the ERP program. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's been things in the paper about stuff and ERP and everything, but I think people just need to know, and it'll help me out too, in regular terms, what is the ERP? What does it stand for? What is it going to do for us?
Okay, so ERP is a standard in the industry. It's a term that means enterprise resource planning. And so what that is, it's a way for an agency to kind of consolidate and integrate all its core business practices and data. More importantly, the data to me anyway.
Okay.
And so that's basically what an ERP system does. For the city, it's involving all of its core financials, accounts payable, purchasing, budgets, contracts. As part of the ERP for the city as well, we're also doing the Energo, which is for our community development.
Okay. And so is it really basically us moving into new technology where it makes things easier for the city, the workers, employees that come in, makes their job easier, right? Less paper, more online, and then it makes the community be able to access, have better access to apply for things online too as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly what it is. Yeah, from a technology and business practice perspective, this is huge. We're basically going from SneakerNet to an actual electronic tracking of documents and requisitions and requests and all those kinds of things. And so it's something that's going to benefit our internal constituents and our external constituents, right? Because once we're able to track our data and organize our data and our business practices a lot better, then we'll be able to provide better customer service all the way around.
Okay. So if you could give me an example of how is this going to, give me something, after we have the system in place, what is a department that we can see, if you can give me an example of a department that is going to have ERP.
Okay, well, so since I'm located in HR, I'll talk a little bit about HR.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
So HCM, Human Capital Management, we're looking to start deploying that in September.
Okay.
The reason for that time frame is because we're going to go live on 7/1 with our core financials. And that is we have to go live with that because that is like the core. That is the hub of all business practices at the city.
Okay.
That involves our chart of accounts, budget, all those kinds of things. That's right in the middle of the whole thing. So we have to go live and stabilize with that first.
Okay.
Also in July that we're going live with is purchase requisitions, which are going to be really nice for internal constituents because we'll be able to automatically submit workflow. And so everybody who's on the approval chain will get a notice saying, hey, you have stuff to approve, go take a look at it. There's also automated budget tracking within requisitions, which is really cool because it will not let you go above budget or do anything like that. So better budget management. But once we have that,
and when you say internal, you mean like if I put in a purchase order, based on whatever, it'll go through more quickly. We should be getting a faster return on them.
Correct, because
Gotcha.
It's going to be, instead of having to wait, you can actually see when you submitted it, and you'll be able, and the people who are approving it will know that it's in their workbench or whatever.
Gotcha.
And so you'll be able to know where it's at. It won't be like you're submitting things and then just wondering when it's going to come and keep having to check. You'll get notifications saying, hey, this is now with budget or this is now with whomever. Gotcha. So that's going to help internally. But once we do that, then we're going to deploy Energo, the community development. That's going to go live 7/29. Then I'm hoping for a period of stabilization, and then we're going to deploy HCM. Now, for me, the biggest thing for HCM is automatic PAs, personnel actions.
Okay. What's HCM again? I'm sorry.
Human Capital Management.
Okay.
So it's the HR portion.
Gotcha. So when people apply for jobs.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's all going to be automated too. We're going to have applicant tracking, customer self-service, and applicant services.
Okay.
Are all going to be integrated within Tyler Munis, which is a really cool thing because right now the applications come into another location and then we have to download them and print them and do all that.
Gotcha, and they'll automatically be...
They'll be in the repository already.
Okay, gotcha.
And so then if an applicant is selected or when an applicant is selected, that applicant will automatically be loaded in as an employee, which is a really cool thing because that's going to minimize the data entry because the applicant actually did the data entry on our behalf. The other big selling point for me is personnel action workflow and tracking. Right now, it's a paper process. It's an extremely manual process, and it takes a bit of time by the time somebody submits a personnel action request to the time it's actually executed, it can take some time. Not always, but sometimes it does, for whatever reasons.
And this is one, once you're hired, when you say personnel act, the PA is signed, and so you see that there's a quicker process now for that.
Correct. Once it's live, it's going to be electronic. And so we'll be submitting PAs through the electronic record, through Munis HCM, and it'll go through the same approval and workflow process as all the rest of Munis, and it'll be able to be tracked. There will be no more wondering where it's at or having to call for, because you'll be able to get that information at your desktop and say, hey, look, this is where it's at now, or hey, look, this is what you need to do. There was a problem with it. Fix it and resubmit it. And it'll all be electronic, so that way there isn't any stamping of documents or anything like that. It's all going to just be native within the system.
And it seems to me like with that, some people are, there's some opinion out there that it takes a long time to be hired by the city. But now it seems like this process streamlines it, right, and makes it a little bit more, it's making it quicker.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to definitely cut back on hiring time. By the time, there's all this whole thing with the disjointedness of systems and the sneaker net that I talked about, manually walking through.
Yeah.
When you're walking through,
is that what they call sneaker net?
When you walk stuff through?
Gotcha,
Right?
that's funny.
So sneaker net. So we do a lot of sneaker net here where we actually walk papers from office to office and kind of offices to offices, and then kind of wait around and say, well, Joe Blow's the fault, or whomever's the fault. It's their fault. Here, there's not going to be any of that, because the applicant for a new hire will submit their application. That will flow directly into the database, and then whatever needs to happen from that perspective, from that point forward, will be electronic. And so that whole time frame and overhead involved with SneakerNet will be completely cut out.
Okay.
Which is going to be really cool for everybody, right? Because none of us are going to have to worry about, oh my God, what are we going to do? None of that. It's going to be electronic, and we'll see it right in the database.
And people will still be able to apply online.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's all electronic.
Will it be a brand new interface than what it is now?
Yes, it's going to be a completely brand new interface.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all going to be new, and we'll have kind of announcements saying this is how it's going to look, this is what you're going to do, this is where it's going to be.
Now I know that's just an example, a department as far as HR, because you work in HR, but I know that that land use is also going through the same thing with permits. I know, and you said finance, and different way, training employees that do contracts and everything, that's been going on too. So there's been a lot of training going on in the city. I know, because the other half of my office is being used for training, but so how is that going? How's the whole training process going? Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, we've had a lot of involvement. We've had standing room only sessions, and we've had to add sessions because people are saying, hey, you know what, we need to get these people now trained, we need to get these people trained. So we've had packed houses every day. There hasn't been a shortage of participants. There's been a lot of good questions. There's been a lot of, wait a minute, what about this, what about that, that kind of thing. And so, because it doesn't really matter what we teach, it only matters what people learn. And I think people are really taking the time to learn the system. They're practicing, they're doing things within their test systems to actually familiarize themselves with it. Because at this point, it's not a technical thing anymore. Now it's just familiarity. It's user familiarity with the system. And it's going really well. I've been really happy with the turnouts and the engagement and involvements.
Yeah, and it seems like it's going through a positive spin. Like the employees, we're embracing it as a department, or as an entity, as a government entity, that everybody's saying, hey, this is going to make my life easier being a city employee, where things won't just get bogged down when I put stuff in. It'll actually, we'll start to see some flow and where it's going to be at, and it'll streamline things, make things go quicker. Yeah,
I think also from an overarching program management perspective, when we start talking about business intelligence and data mining, like reporting basically, because it's going to be integrated and because it's one single database across multiple departments and agencies, we're going to be able to query data a lot better and provide much better get a much better perspective on how we're performing as an agency. And it's not that we can't do that now, it's just more an issue of disjointedness. There's data located all over the place. And within the new world order, basically it's going to be centrally located, so we'll just hit that data repository for what we need, and we're not going to have to do disparate data chasing.
Yeah, and it'll be under one system.
Yeah, one umbrella.
Yeah.
And that's from a support perspective. That's also kind of the goal that we should be looking for, is to kind of have a homogeneous application ecosystem. We should have a single database that we can all become familiar with, right? Because if people change jobs, people change departments, right now you don't know what you're going to be using sometimes. It could be that you go from using what we're calling E1, or you might move to a department that doesn't even have a relationship with the computer. So you just don't know. So right now, and that's how it is, but when we go forward, it's all going to be one system, so you'll have familiarity with what we're doing across the spectrum.
It's a big overhaul, right?
Oh, this is
system.
massive.
It is.
It's massive.
I mean, considering that there's still a little bit of bits and pieces of something that was done at the turn of, at the beginning of the 2000s, and then we kind of went into this hybrid system at the beginning of this decade, and now, but it wasn't a full jump into the pool type of thing, where this is a full jump into the pool, maybe even off a cliff and into a pool of water. There's no going back to it, right?
No.
We are improving and overhauling the system in the city, which in return is going to make us make our jobs easier as city employees, but also make our services better for the community out there, for the community of Santa Fe.
Oh, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is that we're going to be more flexible and responsive across, both internally and externally. That's the biggest selling point for me, is that we're going to be a much more flexible and responsive agency than what we currently are. We're going to know our tools a lot better. We're going to know our data, more importantly, a lot better. And I think that's really what the key for all this is by going to an ERP that does that integration of business practices and actually organizing the data under one umbrella. We become a much more intelligent agency. And that's really the goal, right? Is to be an intelligent agency. And as a whole, we will be more intelligent going forward.
Gotcha. So let me ask you, what do you think, what's the projected target date for us to be 100% that we're going to be going? What is the team's projection for this?
Okay, so there's milestone dates that we've already kind of mapped out.
Okay.
And those milestone dates are significant, right? But we have to be really careful about saying 100%, because in software development, you're never at 100% because there's always always new versions.
Where I guess the community and also the city employees, they see that there's a difference in their daily workflow.
We're going to see a difference 7.2, right?
Okay.
7.1, 7.2. We're going to deploy, we're going to go live on 7.1 with the core financials.
Okay.
So vendor services, that's all going to be automated now. So vendors are going to be able to remit invoices electronically now through their portal. We'll get the invoices electronically now. So that's going to be live 7.1. So right off the bat, we're going to be seeing improvements. I mean, there's going to be a learning curve. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be learning curves.
Yeah.
We're doing trainings and we're doing everything we can to prep. But there's going to be some learning curve. And there probably will be some glitches. I mean, right, it's a new system. It's a completely different way of doing business. So there probably will be some bumps in the road. I'm anticipating some bumps in the road. But really, it's going to be a monumental improvement pretty quickly. And we'll see, we should see benefits pretty soon after that. So 7.1 is core financials. 7.29 is full intergov. But that's just going to be the way that it is now, what they call back office.
Got it.
Customer self-service for building permits and things like that won't be until later on in the calendar year. We're targeting late fourth quarter.
Gotcha.
Mid to late fourth quarter for customer self-service. And the reason for that is data stabilization. We want to make sure that the data stabilizes and that we have it all organized and that it's working great and everything's perfect on the back end, so that way. So everybody will still be able to come in, do their building permits like they always have and all that, still be normal.
So I got a question here. I hope I don't throw you off on this one, but is there another municipality that's using this system?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Las Cruces uses it. Los Alamos County uses it. Los Alamos County just went live like January, February. They went live with Energov, the community development, quite a while ago. And that's why they went to Munis Financials. We actually took a visit out there. The management team, we went and did a field trip and checked it out. And I mean, they're very pleased with it. Their deployment was a little bit bumpy, but their deployment was a big bang. And what I mean by that is they did everything, including payroll, all at one time.
Oh, wow.
because of the calendar year thing.
Gotcha.
So they just went with everything all at once, and payroll has presented their biggest challenges.
And they've seen it through, and they,
Oh yeah,
and
they've stabilized. It took a bit of time to get payroll
Yeah.
stabilized, but our advantage that we have is that we're going to be running so many parallel payrolls between now and, as a matter of fact, we're doing one in a week and a half. And there's already been some parallel payrolls done. So from a confidence perspective, my confidence at least is very high that the payroll deployment will be okay, which is 1/1 of 20. That's going to mark the completion of the first phase, to your earlier question about when are we going to be done.
Yeah.
We'll be done with the initial deployment and everything by 1/1, including the payroll, everything. So we'll be live.
Okay.
After that, then we'll start looking at other tools and other phases.
Gotcha.
And also upgrades and release management and those kinds of things. So
And there's always those things.
right,
just
we
like
have to
you said.
refresh. Yeah. So it's always going to be a continual process improvement type stuff. But for the most part, we'll be live, on the core financials July and on the rest in August and September. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's going really well. I mean, there's been a lot of really good feedback. Like you say, there has been a little bit of criticism, but once they see that it's actually going forward, everybody's just jumping on board.
Well, I see a lot of the hard work that everybody's putting in. I see the hard work that your team's putting in. I also see the hard work that the employees are by training. And then also the folks that are in here that are training us on the new software, they mean business when you're in there.
Yeah.
And it seems like, people are really taking a liking to it. So
Yeah, well, I think the cool thing about city employees that I don't think people realize is that they have a lot going on, right? So we're doing this new system, we're doing these deployments, we're doing all this new stuff. We're asking them to come to trainings, we're asking them to leave their environments for hours on end to come and learn this new system. We're asking them to practice, we're asking them to do a lot of new things, as well as continue their day-to-day jobs, and we're keeping the lights on as well as doing all this stuff. It's a lot of work, and everybody's rising to the challenge, which has been really cool.
that's great.
Yeah, there's communication. We're talking to each other on the ground. We're doing what needs to be done, and there's a lot of hole plugging as we need. And there hasn't been a lot of pushback at all. That's been the coolest thing about being here is that I see just how hard the city employees work and how seriously they take their jobs. So that's been the coolest thing. Is there's been a lot of, to me, it's been nice to see the level of want to out there.
Yeah.
And that's been the
Enthusiasm.
coolest thing. Yeah, enthusiasm. And you know what? Sometimes it's long hours. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, tedious.
Yeah.
But we're still doing it.
Yeah.
We're shaking our heads and we're going forward.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you.
No, thank you for
I know,
having me, man.
I know you're busy and, getting you over here. I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming and taking
anytime,
some
man,
time out.
anytime.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the update too as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Juan Bleak, City Project Manager. Folks, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank Christina McCandless for running the show. Adrienne is on sabbatical for a little bit, so we're sending her our best and her family. And I want to thank you guys for joining us, folks. And also here at the Santa Fe Community Gallery, brand new show, Happy Little Clouds, opening soon. So come on down and check it out. And folks, thank you for joining us. Have a safe week. Have a great week.